Hello and welcome to Caster Gets Crafty, here again with another video. Now today I decided to challenge myself a little bit more. So before I got some comments saying I should try something new. Well, sculpting is something I've always wanted to try, and well, I figured let's go ahead and give it a shot, right? So I bought some super sculpting in hopes that maybe I can make a pretty good dinosaur, but I honestly have no idea what any of these tools do. But I'm just going to go ahead and use them the way I see them. First thing I do is cut some clay with this blade that I bought. But I figured, why would I need clay now before I have the armature? So I don't have exactly that great wire to make an armature, but I did have some steel stainless wire laying around. And I figured it'd be good enough for my first time making my first sculpture. So the first thing I did was make a spine out of the coil, as well as two legs for the thunder thighs that I'm going to build, since I am trying to make a dinosaur. And I figured most of the tools are similar to the ones I use in Blender, except they're physical material. So I figured, I've seen people do this before, and I decided to bulk up my metal chicken, with some foil. Since my chicken was already built up enough, I decided to use my tortillas that I made from clay to start bulking up the main frame of the dinosaur. Honestly, from here, I had no idea what I was doing, but I figured let me just go ahead and just add more layers and more layers and more layers and more layers until I finally got the shape of the dinosaur built up to the best I can. Once I've decided that I've built the body up enough, I figured I want to start on the head, since I think it would be the most fun doing. So this tool that I have here, I use it to kind of slice the opening of the mouth of the T-Rex dinosaur that I'm trying to make, and it was fairly easy to do. I figured this is the right way to use this tool, and I've seen some other videos where they've actually done this as well beforehand. So I definitely did my research before I started deviling into the sculpture itself. But once I've got the mouth done, I decided, you know what, it's time to start building up that face and that head. So I added some small strips of clay, and using the ball stylus, I decided to smooth it out just a bit, just to get the clay meshed in with the rest of the body. Once I've got the top part of the head pretty much done, I poke some holes into the sides so I can make that eye socket where the eyeball would go, and then I started to carve a little bit more at the sides. But then I decided, you know what, it's time to do some dental work on this guy. So I made some gums and tried to put them in place right where the teeth would go. So once the gums were set in place, I decided to make a little texture ball that I can bake to give my dino a little bit of texture. And before I started using the actual ball, I had to bake it. So I decided to take this time to beef up those legs a little more, just so they stand out more, because dinos do have some pretty thick legs. Aside from the legs, I thought I needed to add just a little bit more detail to the rest of the body. So at this time, I also decided to do some rib cages for the actual dino itself as well. And it was very simple. It was the same technique overall for most of it. It was just adding these small loops that you see here, and just using the ball stylus to pretty much blend and mesh it into the body and try to get it to close as natural as possible. So once I've added the rib cage and some wrinkles to the throat and neckline of the dino, I decided it's time to make that spinal cord a little bit more visible. So I added a huge long strip along the spine and just did the same thing and meshed it in with the same technique. And despite not knowing anything about sculpting, trying it out for the first time and not exactly being successful at it to the T, but I gotta say it was a lot of fun doing it. A lot of fun. Well, our dino is just about almost done. It's pretty well so far for what it is. The teeth are in, but now it's time to add the texture. And there's another technique that I'm going to incorporate that I saw as well online, and pretty much is adding a shrink wrap paper and just using my tool. I don't know what this tool is called, but just kind of slicing across, give it that like those reptile-ish looking lines and texture to the dino. I did my best with it, but I thought it came out pretty good for what it was for the first time. So while our dino is inside the oven baking, I figured it's time to move on to the minis. Now, the minis, I chose a selection of different cowboys, some soldiers from the Civil War kit that I have, and it's just so I can tell this story of how the bandits tried to take over a small Indian camp and search for creatures. And all these pretty much fit the right thing, except since I am going to have an Indian riding the dinosaur, I needed to pick out a figure that was going to fit. However, this guy here, well, his arm wasn't in the proper spot, so I figured it's time for some surgery. So I couldn't find any, well, proper, maybe there's a way to do these surgeries, I guess, as you can say, but I did decide to just use my clippers, and I clipped the arm off, but it wasn't coming off completely, and since I wanted a very, very clean cut, I just switched to my X-Acto knife just so I can easily separate the arm from the body. I switched to my hand drill so I can make a little socket where I can put the glue. That way I put the arm in a proper position so that it doesn't fall off after placement. Once that was done, he was ready to go. But I decided to give him a little bit of clay on his arm and kind of shape it in the way to give him a little snake companion, just to make him stand out just a bit more. But he also needed a seat, so I cut some wood, and then I also took some small bits of this metal wire to build a little station area where the dino, where this Indian would be riding the dino. Now that my dino was complete, I decided to move on to the base. So I cut out a simple square and just mixed my Mod Podge and plaster and added some extra water to make it easier to apply, and I applied it to my base. Once my base was dry, I decided to add some texture with flocking pebbles and some rocks that I found outside. And then I sealed it with isopropyl alcohol, watered down white glue, and then began to paint. I'm really used to painting my bases with washes and with washes that I make out of acrylics. But usually I use acrylics straight onto the figures, so this time around I'm going to use washes on my figures instead so I can make it easier to paint. So the bandits are just a group of bandits that are trying to get onto this camp and take over the Indian camp. But they weren't there originally to do that. They were looking for monsters for their circus performance that they have back in their western town, which is what these figures in red are. They are the ringmasters. Now these bandits are thinking they have an edge over the Indians because they're outmatched. They're outnumbered in the camp. But our dino, which is being ridden by our Indian, is a reinforcement for the Indians. So they're gonna get a huge surprise. Once I was done painting, I added some flocking to the whole base with turf, as you saw, and decided to glue down the figures in their positions. The bandits in the positions of which they're taking over the camp, and the position of a specific bandit that's running away from a dino and one laying down right in front of it. Now that I was done with it, it was just a matter of painting the sides black, and I was pretty much done. Hey guys, so thanks again for clicking on this video. Thanks for watching my channel. Thanks for watching the videos I've made before. If you're returning to watch the video from a previous video, thanks for sticking around. If you're new, please feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you would like to see. Let me know if you like the sculpting, if you would like me to continue to sculpt so I can make more sculptures. If you would like me to make something bigger, maybe something smaller, let me know. Give me ideas in the comment section. I will more than gladly see what you guys want me to do for you guys on this channel. So feel free to just let me know, and let me know how you like the video. If you like the sculptures, if there's something you would want to be sent to you, then go ahead and let me know as well. So thanks again for watching the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. See you later.